Elon Musk endorses the Republicans. He posted this on Twitter, causing a lot of people on Twitter to be very agitated over that. Nobody likes when Elon is endorsing Republicans. Everybody wants Elon to kind of just shut up and give them back their platform. And Elon is not backing down. He posted this. On Twitter, Elon said on November 7th, "Dear independent-minded voters," he says, "shared power curbs the worst excesses of both parties. Therefore, I recommend voting for a Republican Congress, given that the presidency is Democratic." He says at the bottom, hardcore Democrats or Republicans never vote for the other side. So independent voters, you're the ones who actually decide who's in charge. And so that's a pretty interesting thing from Elon that got 38,000 retweets at the time that I took this screenshot and a lot of likes. And a lot of people are upset with that statement because they are wanting Elon to not take sides or to give them back their platform or to support Democrats like every other big tech bro out there. But we'll get into more of that. We are going to check in with Ronna McDaniel, and we're going to listen to Representative Katie Porter. Representative Katie Porter was on the Jon Stewart show, and Katie Porter said that inflation is a no-brainer. Everybody knows about it. And so we'll check back in with her in a quick minute. But first, my friends, we have an amazing announcement from our sponsor, 4Patriots. They tell us that a food shortage could be coming here, even in the United States. Experts wrote about this as recently as July. Drought, inflation, even a few new policies that are coming into play could put food supply at a breaking point. That's why survival food is more important now than ever. You can create your own stockpile of the best-selling 4Patriots survival food kits. You can create your own stockpile. This is not ordinary food, my friends. We're talking about good for 25 years, super survival food. This stuff is hand-packed, family-owned facility right in the United States. It gives jobs to over 200 Americans. These kits are compact, they're sturdy, they're water-resistant, they stack easily. They have different delicious breakfasts, lunches, and dinners. You can make these meals in less than 20 minutes. Boiling water, simmer, and serve this stuff. And right now, you can go to 4patriots.com. You can see it right here on your screen. Use promo code Robert. You can get a 3-month survival kit, which includes their famous guarantee, the 4Patriots guarantee, that this stuff will last an entire year. You get free shipping on anything over $97. They're called 4Patriots because a portion of every sale is donated to charities who support our veterans and their families. So I invite you to go to 4patriots.com, use code Robert, get 10% off, 4patriots.com, use code Robert. Start building your stockpile today, my friends. Very important stuff. All right. And so now we can check in with a Representative Katie Porter. Katie Porter is a California representative. She was on with Jon Stewart, and she is having some pushback on this inflation issue. Representative Porter, you're running for office. You need to get reelected again. What's your position on inflation? You know, the number one issue that Americans care about, the thing that people feel in their pocketbooks, the thing that everybody gets punched in the face with every time they walk into a grocery store. What's your take on inflation?
Inflation is always complex. Anyone who says, and this is the Republicans all day long, inflation's bad. No shit, Sherlock.
Whoa.
Of course inflation's bad. I, too, go to the grocery store. So that is not a policy statement, by the way.
Congresswoman, put that in your commercial. That you're allowed to use this footage.
Wow.
This is not paid for by taxpayers. I want to see you right now, Congresswoman Katie Porter. No shit, Sherlock. Let's get this done.
I mean, that's all Republicans have to say, which is inflation is bad. Well, yes, folks, we get that. I just bought Fritos for $4.99. I spent $10 to feed these children Fritos, for crying out loud.
For Fritos. It's very expensive. No S. Sherlock. Wow. Okay. So she knows it. We know it. We've all been asking ourselves, who's responsible for it? Is it the Republican Party? Is it the Democratic Party? Are both of them responsible for it? And who has accelerated the problem this past 2 years? Has it been the Republicans who have not been in charge, or has it been the Democrats who've spent trillions of dollars and then with the stroke of a pen spent hundreds of billions more, waiving student loans, letting the border fall to catastrophe? The list goes on and on. It's a gigantic problem. But this woman, her only real answer is that the Republicans don't have an answer. Well, she's been in charge. She's been responsible for it. And Jon Stewart and her, I guess, are excited about the S word. Dropping the S word. I guess that's going to solve something.
It's always complex. Anyone who says, and this is the Republicans all day long, inflation's bad. No shit, Sherlock.
Well,
of course inflation's bad. I, too, go to the grocery store. So that is not a policy statement, by the way.
Congresswoman, put that in your commercial. That you're allowed to use this.
Yeah. Get it. Say the S word. Call the Republicans a bunch of S heads. Yeah. All right. So I guess that's what is happening here. And there's been an interesting, this is an interesting dynamic. We talked about this on our Locals Walk and Talk this morning, where there's a lot of reactions coming out from Democrats of all different stripes and varieties. You've seen some people like Katie Porter. You may have seen the clip from Bill Clinton when he was out sort of mocking crime in New York City. He was saying that, people on subways are not being handed batons by Kathy Hochul, who are not doing the clubbing and the beating out there while people are transporting themselves to work. And it's kind of a jokey, dismissive attitude. And there's been situations like this in the past. I remember when Marco Rubio got very jokey and sort of playful with Donald Trump. He was making fun of his hands, and he was, doing this almost comedy routine to try to do something to adjust the conversation, to adjust the narrative. I'm not so sure that that's going to be effective at this moment in time. I mean, Katie Porter, Bill Clinton, Kathy Hochul sort of laughing at the issue, saying, oh, it's much to do about nothing. Just shut up. Okay. Everybody knows what inflation is. No S, Sherlock, right? This is a global thing. I don't think that's going to carry any weight, given the fact that they control both houses and the presidency, but they've been trying it, right? And there's a lot of different attempts that they have undergone to try to claw back or gain some traction in some way, shape, or form, but we haven't seen much of it. Ronna McDaniel is the GOP chairwoman, and she had a very nice line. Republicans get called all sorts of deniers, science deniers, medical misinformation deniers, election deniers, science. The whole list goes on and on. You know the whole litany of them. But Ronna McDaniel says, the reality about this is the Democrats are the real deniers here.
5 days out from an election for the President of the United States to give a speech and not talk about inflation, to actually say it's good, to not talk about gas prices, to say that crime doesn't
I'm not
exist.
here.
They have become crime deniers, inflation
I'm not
deniers,
here. Okay.
and education deniers.
Ronna,
denying everything. Reality deniers. And we've talked about this on the Legal Mindset conversation when we were over on his channel, that there's almost like there's poll tested lists of issues that give thumbs up or thumbs down to, and the Democrats have taken all of the bad issues and they've tried to sort them into the ones that are most favorable to themselves. But they are missing the only real issues that people care about on their list. Or it's not inflation, it's not the economy, it's not the border, it's not the things that most Americans care about. Instead, it's J6, insurrection, death of democracy, and like climate change and, rights for, very, very small slivers of society, right? It's a weird dynamic. It's not working out for them so well. We'll see if that changes. But Ronna McDaniel says election deniers, education deniers, crime deniers, and basically all sorts of other reality deniers. So a nice clip from the GOP. We have Stacy Abrams as well, who has a whole sort of library of double standards applied to her. It's a very interesting phenomenon that happens with her. Stacy Abrams, Georgia governor candidate, has said that she's down in the polls for very interesting reasons. One of them being that certain individuals, in this case, black males, are more susceptible to misinformation. And I think that means she's saying they're more gullible or they're less capable of discerning reality from fiction. I don't really understand it. It feels very racist and insulting to me. But this is Stacy Abrams, and the media doesn't push back on any of this stuff. In fact, here she is on MSNBC, I guess going to get away with this. Let's listen.
And I do not believe it's because of a deep well of enthusiasm for my opponent. We know that black voters are often discounted. And unfortunately, this year, black men have been a very targeted population for misinformation. Not misinformation about what they want, but about why they want what they deserve. And my campaign has been the only one that has very intentionally, thoughtfully, and consistently reached out. That has been misconstrued as concern, when indeed it's just respect.
It's just respect to help black men who don't know why it is what they want or what they deserve. I don't know what she was actually trying to say there. People don't know why they deserve what they deserve. So the motivations have been supplanted or something. These black males have been manipulated into thinking that something else is good for them. And Stacy Abrams says that she's reaching out to correct that because they're more susceptible to misinformation. Well, it's a strange thing to say. I don't know that that's really appropriate to say, but I guess she's allowed to say it for some reason. I don't. Is that what they talk about over there on MSNBC? Okay, well, strange place. All right, well, we've got several other clips to attend to, and we've got, who's this? Kevin McCarthy's in the house. Kevin McCarthy is very likely going to be the victor after Tuesday night. He is presumed to be the next Speaker of the House. We'll see. GOP House Leader Kevin McCarthy is asked about the attack on Paul Pelosi. Paul Pelosi, of course, is married to Nancy Pelosi, who presumably is going to be the outgoing Speaker of the House if the Republicans are victorious on election night. If the Republicans win, they take over the House. They get to vote on who the next Speaker will be. The next person who's going to handle the gavel after Nancy Pelosi scoots on out of there. It very well may be Kevin McCarthy. We'll see. We'll take opinions on whether he's going to be good or effective, but he is sort of in the lead at the moment. And so he's on with CNN. CNN asks Kevin McCarthy, hey, what happened with Paul Pelosi? Who's responsible for this? A lot of people think it's the MAGA extremist Republicans. You know, they are the people who are election deniers and science deniers and reality deniers. It's not us at all. And so if you are leading the GOP, if you're in support of, you know, all of these people, how can you possibly live with yourself knowing that what they did caused the attack on Paul Pelosi to occur?
Speaker, how do you tone down that rhetoric? How are you going to stop that and turn down the temperatures?
Well, the first thing, I'll ask the president not to call half the nation idiots or challenge them or say things about them simply because they have differences of opinion. There's a number of people in this country that I have a difference of opinion.
Let me see if I can boost some of this audio here because that is very low audio. We'll play this again.
Speaker, how do you tone down that rhetoric? How are you going to stop that and turn down the temperatures?
Well, the first thing, I'll ask the president not to call half the nation idiots or challenge them or say things about them simply because they have differences of opinion.
MAGA extremists who are threatening your economic and national security.
There's a number of people in this country that I have a difference of opinion on. I respect them. I respect their ability to debate. I respect their ideas. Let the idea win at the end of the day. I think leadership matters, and I think it probably starts with the president, and it'll start with the speaker as well.
What about members of your own party who have spread some of these conspiracy theories that have resulted in some of this violence?
Yeah, I've watched people on both sides of the aisle. As Speaker, I'll be the Speaker for the whole House. So it won't be looking at just Republicans. It'll look at Democrats as well. You know, when Maxine Waters tells people to go get in their faces, we've watched this so many times before, and I appreciate you bringing them up too, because as Speaker of the House, I will look at all.
She is claiming that the conspiracy theories, now we don't know exactly what conspiracy theories she's talking about, are responsible for some of the violent attacks that are occurring across the country. Let's take a listen to see which ones she is specifically referencing.
Members of your own party who have...
President, and it'll start with the speaker as well.
What about members of your own party who have spread some of these conspiracy theories that have resulted in some of this violence?
Yeah,
what conspiracy theories and what violence? What is she talking about?
I've watched people on both sides of the aisle. As Speaker, I'll be the Speaker for the whole House. So it won't be looking at just Republicans. It'll look at Democrats as well. You know, when Maxine Waters tells people to go get in their faces, we've watched this so many times before, and I appreciate you bringing them up too, because as Speaker of the House, I will look at all.
All right, so that's Kevin McCarthy. We'll see if he'll actually do anything meaningful. You know, I get so tired of this conspiracy theory stuff. What conspiracy theories is she talking about? Is it the election conversation that we've had? Okay, is this still the J6 thing? Because we're seeing this attempted to be smeared all over everybody who even questions not the prior elections, okay? Not making any comments about that. Take it easy, my YouTube censor over there, all right? I'm not commenting about prior elections. I'm saying that people can have conversations about how elections are run, can't we? We can talk about voter suppression versus voter enfranchisement. We can actually have legitimate debates about what an election full of integrity looks like. Can't we have those conversations? Or are we done with that? Like elections are just over. They're perfect. Nothing has to change ever again, ever? That's not a conspiracy theory. That's just having a conversation about that. That's what Kari Lake is doing. She's having a lot of these conversations. And I don't know how you can correlate what happened to Paul Pelosi back to Kari Lake. Haven't seen how you can make that connection, even though they attempt to do that. In fact, let's jump right over there and see how they are trying to make that connection. This is GLADYS SICKNICK. You remember GLADYS SICKNICK. Or maybe you don't. But if you do remember, you know a guy named Brian Sicknick. Brian Sicknick is this individual who died of natural causes after January 6th. I mean, that's the way to put it. He was there on January 6th. And he interacted with the protesters. And then died the next day. And if you remember, our lying government and our lying media shoved down all of our gullets that he was murdered by the insurrectionists, when that was not true at all. It was a lie. He was allegedly attacked and hit with blunt objects before dying at the hands of the MAGA protesters, before he was later bear sprayed. And it turned out that story was a fiction too. The litany went on with him. It turns out he died of natural causes. Now, they still gave him a state funeral, essentially. I mean, they really did everything that they possibly could to capitalize on this death and exploit his death at the sake of his family. But if we rewind back to where we are today and put this in context, of course, it is election season, and they brought out GLADYS SICKNICK to continue to exploit her son's death to attack Kari Lake. Let's listen.
I'm GLADYS SICKNICK. I'm the mother of Brian Sicknick, the Capitol police officer who died defending our country on January 6th. Kari Lake is very dangerous for our country.
All right, so Kari Lake is now the person who's very dangerous for our country. Let's listen to that again.
I'm GLADYS SICKNICK. I'm the mother of Brian Sicknick, the Capitol police officer who died defending our country on January 6th.
He died defending our country on January 6th. This poor woman. It's not true. Like, look, I'm terribly sorry that her son died. Okay, I'm terribly sorry that he died. It's terrible. Right? It's actually terrible, right? I'm sorry that he's not with you, GLADYS. I'm sure you're in pain, and I'm sorry about that. I know loss. I've dealt with it. I've worked with people with loss. I know how it is. I'm sorry that you're looking for an answer. But he did not die defending the Capitol on January 6th.
I'm GLADYS SICKNICK. I'm the mother of Brian Sicknick, the Capitol police officer who died defending our country on January 6th.
All right, so let's just pause on that. We're going to come back to that in a minute because I just have to hit that comment. Here is a story from American Greatness by Julie Kelly. She wrote this a long time ago. This gives us the definitive sort of response. Officer Sicknick died of natural causes, not riot injuries. Another massive lie used to gaslight the American people because of the corrupt garbage media. Washington Post, they said he died of natural causes, not from injuries sustained in the Capitol. The medical examiner, a guy by the name of Francisco J. Diaz, said the autopsy found no evidence that the 42-year-old suffered an allergic reaction to chemical irritants. Okay, that was the bear spray allegation. Previously, I think it was him getting hit in the head with a fire extinguisher, all right, which also never happened, which Diaz said would have caused Sicknick's throat to quickly seize. If it was bear spray, he would have been able to see it, Francisco Diaz said. Diaz also said there was no evidence of internal or external injuries. Didn't get cracked in the head with a fire extinguisher either. 2 men have been arrested charged with using bear spray against Sicknick. The ruling likely will make it difficult for prosecutors to pursue homicide charges in the officer's death. All right, our corrupt DOJ, along with our corrupt media and the corrupt FBI, rotten to the core, have said specifically that they wanted to find somebody who murdered him, and they were going to charge people with it, even though they didn't do it. SICKNICK's death became a rallying cry after the New York Times reported on January 8th, 2 days later, that SICKNICK had been bludgeoned to death by Trump-supporting insurrectionists using a fire extinguisher. Never happened. The garbage New York Times lied about it. Capitol and D.C. Metro Police organized a somber procession for SICKNICK. Democratic leaders invited his family to a rare Capitol memorial attended by congressional leaders, including Joe Biden and his wife. Weeks before Trump's second impeachment trial began. Do you remember this? Do you remember living through this? But after pushback from a handful of outlets like American Greatness, the Times quietly retracted its initial account because they got what they needed out of it. They were able to smear an entire group of people as murderers of police officers. Perfect. Exactly what they needed. Exactly what they needed. They got this story. The media ran with it. They said, oh, no, it wasn't a fire extinguisher in the head. It was an allergic reaction to bear spray. We covered all this, right? The story kept changing. The Times even published a lengthy article with a video showing how SICKNICK allegedly died from bear spray. Falsehood was repeated by every single Democratic politician, every news outlet, and even Republican lawmakers, losers. It's impossible to measure how many impressions it got. And you talk about spreading disinformation. Okay, it's a literal lie that was included in the House Democrats' impeachment trial memo, which we also read through here on this channel. Every law enforcement agency from the Capitol Police to the DOJ claims SICKNICK died from injuries inflicted by the protesters. All eyes, our thoughts and prayers are with the family and the fellow officers who succumbed last night to the injuries he suffered defending the U.S. Capitol against the violent mob who stormed it on January 6th. Who said that? Acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen said it in a statement. Liar. His death was also part of a bigger fabrication related to J6. 5 people died because of the violence. The only person killed was Ashley Babbitt, obviously. Outrageously, the D.C. Medical Examiner's Office, in an email to American Greatness, continues to perpetuate the now debunked trope. It says the District of Columbia issued determinations on the matter of death. 2 men died of heart failure. 1 woman died of a drug overdose. Another massive lie going on, right? No resignations, no retractions, no apologies. Everybody continues to promote that gigantic lie, including to the mother, GLADYS SICKNICK. Now, with all of that in context, right? Now we think about all of that in context. It's kind of a little bit understanding, right? Why GLADYS SICKNICK might think this actually is true. She probably does think this, right? That a bunch of MAGA insurrectionists killed her son, because that's what everybody reported for months. And they said, hey, GLADYS, you hate Kari Lake, right? You think Kari Lake's kind of a danger? Well, why don't you come out and make this video? It's about your son because people like her murdered him. Why don't you come out and give us a statement about that?
I'm GLADYS SICKNICK. I'm the mother of Brian SICKNICK, the Capitol Police officer who died defending our country on January 6th. Kari Lake is very dangerous for our country. She saw what happened on January 6th and continues to spread a big lie. And we're going to have more violence because they believe whatever she says. It's very dire for our democracy, for our country, with candidates like Kari Lake. My son died because of people like Kari Lake.
Wow. My son died because of people like Kari Lake, even though her son died of natural causes. So how does that work? If her son died of natural causes, did he get bad genes from Kari Lake or something? Did he catch COVID from her or something? I don't know. I feel bad for GLADYS SICKNICK. I feel terrible that she's being exploited by these rotten cretins who would use the memory of her son for political gain and badger this nice lady into taking the memory of her son and cramming it into a 30-second lie of a political commercial to go attack Kari Lake, who never met Brian SICKNICK, as far as we know, who had nothing to do with anything, wasn't even there, and has repeatedly said that she's got questions about the election. She's responsible for his death. Okay, that's what we're dealing with out there, my friends. That's the media. That's the disgusting Democratic Party taking advantage of a mother who lost her son. Now, you can see that Kari Lake, of course, is not going to let that stuff go without a response. This is Kari Lake responding to the big lie that's been proffered by the Democrats, saying that Kari Lake is responsible for the death of Brian Sicknick, the Capitol Hill police officer who died the day after the January 6th protests of natural causes. GLADYS Sicknick said Kari Lake's responsible for his death. Kari Lake responds.
You've seen this ad attacking you.
Which one?
Which one?
Which one, Chris?
The mother of Brian Sicknick, the Capitol police officer that died the day after January 6th. She, in an attack ad, is saying that people like you specifically are responsible for her son's death. I'm curious what you think when you hear that.
What's her name?
The mother of Brian Sicknick?
Yeah.
I think it's Cindy Sicknick.
Cindy, I just want to say to Cindy Sicknick, I'm so sorry about the death of your son. It is tragic. I'm a mother myself, and that is, it breaks my heart. That is a wound when you lose a child, no matter how old they are, that never heals. And so I don't want to disparage her. She doesn't know me. I wasn't anywhere near the Capitol on January 6th. And I understand that her son died, I think, the following day of a stroke or natural causes. And I feel for her, and I see the pain in her eyes. And I would never try to disparage or hurt her, because I know when a mother has pain like that, there's no way to heal that. And that's why I feel for these moms and dads who hit me up on the campaign trail and they grab me. And you can spot them from across the room. There is a loss in their lives that can never be replaced. And we're losing thousands of young people. When they tell me they lost a son to fentanyl, when they lost a daughter to fentanyl poisoning, this is why we are pushing so hard to secure that border and stop fentanyl from pouring across. I'm used to attack ads. I've had probably more money spent against me than any candidate in Arizona in attack ads, but the people know me here. They're not believing what they're seeing in the attack ads. I've been in their homes for 27 years. And additionally, besides attack ads, I've had 100% negative lying coverage by the fake news of me and my campaign and our people. And so we've withstood that, and we will win, and we're going to do great things for Arizona despite what you guys say.
Amazing! How can you even compete with that? Very professional, very diplomatic answer from Kari Lake saying, look, I understand mothers losing people are going to be grieving. If she wants to take her pain out on me, all right, that's fine. I can take it. I'm used to taking that. Well, the problem is we have a lot of people who are dying unnecessarily, and I'm going to do everything I can to stop that from happening. Outstanding response. And I agree with her completely. I think it is completely inappropriate what they're doing by trying to exploit Brian Sicknick's memory for their own personal political gain. It feels gross for them to do it, but they continue to do it. Kari Lake just says, well, I'm okay with that. I understand she's in pain. We're going to solve the problem anyway. Our next governor here in the great state of Arizona, we're looking forward to seeing her succeed nicely as the election nears. To try to stop Kari Lake, they brought out Barack Obama. He came to Arizona, and he's been sort of whipping up a frenzy trying to get people to go and remove her from office. And Kari Lake responds when asked about Obama criticizing her, saying that she's a danger to democracy and that if you dare vote for Kari Lake, you're voting for the end of America. Kari Lake responds,
what would be your retort to Barack Obama standing on stage with a convicted racist of which some of your tax dollars went to pay for her racism? What would be your retort if you were in an elevator, let's say, and Obama walked in and you got a chance to tell him what you thought? What would you say?
Oh, boy, I'd have so many things to say to him. I think I would tell him that it verifies. I was so disappointed in him when he didn't work to bring us together. He had a real opportunity as a president, and I'm just disappointed as an American. Being the first black president, he didn't do more to bring us together. He actually divided us even further. And then it doesn't really surprise me that he would come to town and stump for a racist after that. After
Katie
the way
Hobbs.
He led. I'm just disappointed with him. He's old news, and I don't think that he is drawing the crowds he used to draw. I think a lot of people who voted for him woke up to the fact that he's really a fraud. And I don't care what he says about Katie Hobbs. We know he's just in it to protect his legacy, which is pretty despicable. I mean, remember the Fast and Furious case that really went down here in Arizona, resulting in the death of 2 Border Patrol agents? His legacy is not good, and he's trying to have a little bit more influence, and I think he knows he's losing his influence. We draw bigger crowds than what he drew last night.
Oh, we drew bigger crowds than you, Barack Obama. You're old news. You can come out here and stump around and tell us, inflation's the Republicans' fault, the border's the Republicans' fault, the crime's the Republicans' fault, all that stuff, but nobody's buying it. We've got bigger crowds than you. You're old news, buddy boy. It's Kari Lake time now. And we're excited to see what comes of that. Now, there was an incident over the weekend where Kari Lake had some white powder delivered to her campaign office. And we talked about that on the Legal Mindset show last night. So if you missed that, certainly go check that out. But it is now heating up in Arizona. And people are wondering where Katie Hobbs is. Katie Hobbs running against Kari Lake, the juggernaut, doesn't seem like she has a chance at all. In fact, CNN even doubts her. They say, hey, Katie Hobbs, you're running against Kari Lake. You might want to debate her. Why haven't you done that? The election's right around the corner.
Why not debate your opponent? If you believe your opponent has issues in the spreading conspiracy theories about a stolen election and so on, and it's not being truthful with the people of Arizona, why then not get on the debate stage and debate her?
Not only is Kari Lake, has she centered her entire platform around this election denialism, I didn't want to give her a bigger stage to do that.
She's already got a big one, Katie. You're not going to give her a bigger stage, okay? She's getting millions of views on Twitter. That last clip that we just played had 1 million views. People want to hear from you if you're really the alternative.
She has shown that she's not interested in having any kind of substantive conversation. She's only interested in creating a spectacle.
But
and
if you were in the same space with her, wouldn't it be easier to knock it down in front of everyone, in front of the most people? Because you're not stopping her from spreading whatever you believe that she is spreading.
Great question from Don Lemon. That move to the morning show, the lights are a little bit brighter. You see the sun coming up in the city background. Everybody's a little bit more carefree today. He's got better ideas now. He's got better questions. If she's such a conspiracy theorist, wouldn't it be nice to just give her the old backhand out there from the stage and just say, hey, you're an election denier, liar. Why don't you just, tell her to her face?
By not debating her, she can go on television. She can talk about it. She can go in front of the people of Arizona every single day and talk about it. But you're not confronting her on it. And it seems like it would be an easy fix if you stood up on a debate stage and confronted her about these issues.
Look, we're 6 days out from the election, and our campaign strategy is our campaign strategy. So we're moving forward. I'm continuing to make my case to the voters of Arizona. Whether or not we debated in this race is not going to decide this election. So, we made a decision, didn't want to be a part of her spectacle, and she's not, she won't answer these tough questions.
What are you talking about?
To real reporters. She only talks to fake
But
news
Secretary,
outlets.
it's not just her that you won't debate. You also did not debate your Democratic primary opponent, Marco Lopez. Why? And have you ever?
That's 2 for 2.
Have you ever?
I was miles ahead of him. I was miles ahead of him in the race and won handily. It's a totally different situation here.
So she doesn't have to debate her primary opponents because she's whopping their butts. And she also doesn't have to debate Kari Lake when she's getting her butt whopped. Very strange. She just doesn't have to debate ever.
Well, it's not debating your opponent again. Have you ever debated your opponent running for political office?
Yes, I have.
Why do you think it wasn't important for people to see a debate in this election for governor at all?
In the primary, I was focused on the general election. I was miles ahead of my opponent. I won handily. It wasn't an issue. We're 6 days from the election, and this is the decision we made. So.
And it's not a good decision, Katie Hobbs. You're down by like 10 points in the polls, right? Not working out so hot for you. But boy, oh boy, CNN asking her some pretty hard questions on that. You didn't debate your primary opponent either. Why not? Oh, have you ever debated anybody ever before, Katie? Hello? You are a politician. Yeah, I did at some point in high school. I was on the debate team, and we had a mock debate assembly one year. Okay, so that's Katie Hobbs. Now, Katie Hobbs was the person who responded to a alleged attack at her campaign headquarters. And it turns out the individual who apparently broke in is an illegal immigrant. Here's the story. The suspect in Arizona candidate Katie Hobbs, that's just who we listened to. The campaign burglary was completed by an illegal immigrant wanted by ICE, evidently. So after she was pressed on the debate, she was asked about the suspect who broke into her campaign headquarters. There was an attempted burglary of the Arizona gubernatorial candidate Katie Hobbs' campaign office. The person who did it is from Portugal. Illegal immigrant. U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement confirmed to Fox that 36-year-old Daniel Mota dos Reis is a citizen of Portugal, came to U.S. registered in 2018, now violating the terms of his admission. And that's Katie Hobbs. It's her campaign office. Hobbs' office first announced the burglary in October, and they said that the crime was attributed to, quote, dangerous misinformation spread by her opponent. It was all Kari Lake's fault, remember? She said, let's be clear, for nearly 2 years, Kari Lake and her allies have been spreading dangerous misinformation, and they've been inciting threats against anyone they see fit. The threats against Arizonans attempting to exercise their constitutional rights are concerning. But the police have said there's no political motivation. No, it's just some guy from Portugal who wanted to break into her residence. The suspect was in jail but was scheduled to be released. Authorities said that the officer contacted the jail, was able to rearrest him, who was charged with 1 count, third-degree burglary for breaking into the headquarters. So just amazing there. So Katie Hobbs is still continuing to struggle, it seems, but the election is, of course, tomorrow. So we'll see how that works out for her. We've got one final sort of clip on some election update stuff here. And this is John Fetterman. John Fetterman is continuing to say he's capable of serving in office. In fact, here's a short clip when he was on CBS News talking about that very specific thing. They're saying, hey, are you fit to serve? And I think he says yes, or he says I'm sit to serve. I don't know, but this is what it looked like.
And I'm sitting within a chair with you right now to have this conversation, to really just address the fact that I'm absolutely sit to serve.
Sit to serve? Is that what he said?
Just address the fact that I'm absolutely sit to serve.
I don't know what he said. All right, so that was something. Now, there was another clip that came here. This one's a lot more interesting. And it's kind of an ominous thing that happened. John Fetterman is running for Senate in Pennsylvania, and there was an ominous a gust on the day of his speech. Watch these American flags. Tell them what they think about him during his oration.
Today, Dr. Oz is going to be standing with Donald Trump on the stage.
The audio's very quiet on a lot of these clips today. I don't know why, but we'll figure that out.
Today, Dr. Oz is going to be standing with Donald Trump on the stage. And I'm going to be proud to be standing with a president that is 100% sedition-free.
Oh, man.
I'm ready.
America. That sucks. All the flags. Did he even notice? Oh, man.
Today, Dr. Oz is going to be standing with Donald Trump on the stage. And I'm going to be proud to be standing with a president that is 100% sedition-free. I'm ready.
Not good. Not a good sign for your campaign. When you're out there preaching for America and then all of the flags evaporate behind you, it's not a good deal. So kind of an ominous sign for John Fetterman. We'll see how that plays out for him in the campaign, but it is coming down to the wire there in Pennsylvania. And of course, we'll continue to follow that as well.